Welcome, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. You with Steve Wyss, and joining us today is our golf handicapper, Simon Holden, Lord Oakwell himself. How's it going, Simon? Been a while?
It's been a while, mate. Yeah, I think the last time I was on, it was in black and white. But it is great to be back. Yeah, great to be back. And what a great golf tournament to be here and see everybody again. So fantastic.
Well, I hope everyone's been doing well and winning their tickets during the international break. UEFA Nations League is now over. Clap, clap, clap. I hear a few people doing. World Cup qualifiers are now over. We're looking ahead to the return of club soccer for the rest of the winter, really, and well, certainly until the end of January. And you know, on today's show, we've got our golf handicapper. It's a specific show. We're going to be looking at the RSM Classic, which is an event played this week on the PGA Tour. We're also going to be having, I've got a list of 5 players to watch for 2025 from Simon, in whatever different way that might be. I don't even know the players myself yet, so I'm ready for the surprises there. We're going to look ahead to the futures for the majors as well. We've actually got a little poll going on Twitter. Rory McIlroy is going to be discussed quite a bit. Do you think he's going to win a major in 2025 or not? Do vote on that poll on X if you've not already. But yes, on to the RSM Classic. Here it is in the state of Georgia on the East Coast, Sea Island here. A bit of a complicated event because it's played over 2 different golf courses. And we've got a 10-1 favourite with Bet Rivers. Ludwig Orberg is on that list there. Davis Thompson is 20-1. Actually, he's into 18-1 now, Davis Thompson. And then you're looking at pretty much 28-1 bar. So it's a pretty open field here, Simon. Georgia on the East Coast this time of year. What sort of weather are we looking at? A bit warmer than here in Yorkshire right now, no doubt.
And down here in the big smoke, it is very cold. Yeah, we should be out there, Steve. Never mind going to Harrogate, mate. We should be on Sea Island. Of course, many of the PGA Tour players live here. They're known as the Seaside Mafia, and so many of them will be at home this week. Yeah, 2 courses, very much a links style feel, very unusual event where players tend to play well year on year. It's not a power event. The Plantation course, everyone will play once, and then the last 2 rounds, everyone will play the Seaside course. Now, the Plantation course is the easier. I think it's 4 par 5, so expect them to go low. So a bit of advice about this. If your player plays the Plantation course on Thursday, don't get overexcited if he's high up on the leaderboard. And flip side with the Seaside course, it will balance out. The only time you want to take a serious look at this leaderboard is on Friday night at the end of round 2. And of course, take the hint, who's played well on Seaside, they're going to have the last 2 rounds.
What's the difference?
This is a good event.
How big of a difference between the 2 courses? Because there's some events, this isn't unusual across the world. You do get events where you play over 2 courses or even 3. Now, in some instances, the one that springs to mind is on the West Coast there in San Diego, which Tiger Woods used always, Torrey Pines. There's a big difference, isn't there, between the North and the South? Yeah. You know, here, are we talking a huge difference, or are we talking, you know, just 1 shot or 2?
I think we're talking about 2.5. There is
quite a big difference
here.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, the big one, the Pebble Beach, where they play the 3 courses. Yeah, Spyglass Hill being the toughest. So you have to start thinking, and we've got the Dunhill links over the 3 here. So it is something to bear in mind. I think the thing is here, though, Steve, if you've got 1 course that you're going to play 3 rounds on, really, you know, it's not enough to make a huge difference. No. We should get the best winner. I say a lot of people are based there. A lot of players have a lot of experience on both these courses, but they will factor it in. And of course, the pressure of playing on the easier course could make you got too many flags. You know, you might try and build up the best score you can. So again, the more experienced guys here, it's very much a links feel, very much a second shot golf course. So that isn't all about the power, but it is about that iron play. They're quite small greens for a PGA Tour event. And you're going to have to put well. This is a really good event. We've seen some great renewals of this, and now it's been moved back. This is actually the last genuine event of the year. We've only got the Tiger Woods event, the Hero, left, and of course that's an invitational for a small field. So essentially, this is it for the year.
Yeah, there is a clear favourite. It's not a short price favourite, but Ludwig Åberg is 10-1. The next nearest to him in the market, 18-1. Talk to me about this sensational Swede, because there'll be people watching who might look at this market and think, do you know what? There's a favourite here. He's 10-1. I'm going to have a piece of this. He might be the star act in the field. How do you think he gets on this week?
It was his debut win last year. The only problem is I call it the difficult second. Well, I'll try and say it. The difficult second album syndrome. You know, he was going to be the next big thing. He still is going to win big events, I'm sure. But he has struggled this year. And of course, he's back from surgery. So there's a little bit of a wealth warning with Åberg there. And he's been an uneasy favourite the last couple of days. And the moves of the top of the market has been for Davis Thompson. To be honest, Steve, he's not quite big enough to get me interested. I think he's a great player. He has struggled at times this year. Like I said, the difficult second album, he burst through. And now the reality of being at the top level, a bit like Collin Morikawa found after his initial year. Now, would he take a top 10? After his surgery? I suspect he would. I think he's a poor favourite. I think we should look elsewhere.
Right. Welcome in, everyone so far. Duncan, Diski, Rick, Ray, and Paul Laguna. Many loyal followers of the channel here. You got 2 outright picks for the RSM Classic, Simon. Who are you going to go with? You got a bigger price, and you got someone a bit more in the top end of the market. Talk us through your 2 selections.
I have. And again, we have players who play well here year on year on year. And of course, the market realizes it and focuses in on it. And of course, Harris English, he's one of the local residents. The market has found him, has been a lot of money. I think he's about the right price now. He might be a little short. He was in contention a few weeks ago and he didn't do it on the Sunday. That put me off him. Now, of course, people who bet heavily on golf, the great argument they always have is, does course form matter more than recent form? Now, that argument's to be settled, but one thing's for sure, when you get somebody with very strong recent form and you introduce very strong course form, it's time to start thinking about laying the money down. That brings me to my selection here, who's Austin Eckroat at plus 3,300, 33-1. Now, Bet Rivers are, is it 6 places, I think, this week, Steve, on this event?
Yeah, 6 places, yeah.
I mean, that's excellent. Now, he's recently won in America. He's got a pair of top 5s in this event. So we've got, you know, I call it the perfect storm of recent form and course form. Now, this guy, when he's in contention, he will really get stuck in. And he's got an excellent stats of last day contention stats. So I'm looking at, like I said, a perfect storm. We've got the recent win, very impressive in Mexico. This is a good field, but it isn't a stellar field by any means. And I think 33s is very big. I'd rather be on him and 33s than Harris English at 22s, put it that way. So he has to be the selection. And
Austin Eckroat.
Austin Eckroat, yeah, very easy.
Yeah, 33-1, and this is an each way selection. 1 to 6, 5th of the odds. So if he finishes in the top 6, doesn't win it, you will get some decent place money, as we say, over here. And you've got an even bigger price here for your second selection, Simon. Who we going with? He's so big, he's not even on the screen.
Yeah, this is a guy who plays very, very well at these kind of quirky courses. He's played well here. He's got top 15s. A couple of times he looked to be in contention and made some serious mistakes. But at the price, I think that's built in. And that's Luke List, who's available at 100-1. Now, Luke List is a very, very powerful hitter. But what's often overlooked, he's got very, very good short game. So we've got a guy who's going to be well down the fairways and has proven he likes these small greens. He has a win on the Challenge Tour at Sawgrass. I'm not saying Sawgrass is like this, but small, tricky greens. Very underrated short game. And again, of all the players that I would call the specialists at this course, he's a far bigger price. So that value really, really comes out of the screen at me. And I thought he was, I'd have him as about 55, 60 to 1, Steve. He's well over what I expected. And the key thing with Luke List, he has come here before, seemingly out of form, and had a big week. So I don't think we should be too worried about recent form. It would be great if he did have good recent form, but what we have is very strong course form. So Luke List is my flyer at 100 to 1.
Yeah, this is on the outright market for the RSM Classic. On the PGA Tour, Luke List 100 to 1, and as we mentioned there, Austin Eckroat at 33 to 1. An interesting comment there. One of our producers behind the scenes, Troy, Ludwig Orberg, is currently backed by 43% of the outright handle. Davis Thompson the second. And why has Thompson been backed in here, do you think? Have you got a theory why Thompson's a popular? He's into 18 to 1 now. He was 20 to 1 earlier.
I think people are looking for an alternative for Aberg, the quite flat form, then the surgery. I think that's put a lot of people off. Clearly not as many as I thought it had. He has been a week on our exchanges here. I can only think that people, when they want to get a favourite, they're probably going to take him on with one of the next 2, 3, 4 in the market. And look, Davis Thompson's a very, very solid all-round player. And yeah, I can see the logic. But yeah, I'd rather be on Eckroat 33s.
There's another market we're going to get involved in here. This is the first round.
Very unusual market.
Yeah, very unusual market. And shout out to Bet Rivers here because they are
very much so.
A first round leader market at both the Seaside course and the Plantation course for Thursday. Now, as it happens, the two favourites in the market are playing on different courses. So Ludwig Orberg is the favourite to be leading at the Seaside course, 16 to 1. And Davis Thompson is the favourite to be leading at the Plantation course, 16 to 1. So this is pretty fair, actually, isn't it? Because they're on different courses.
I think this is great. Very innovative.
This is great. You've got to pick from each course who you think is going to be leading the day one at each course. Let's start with the Seaside course.
The Seaside course, yeah. Well, I've gone for Alejandro Tosti here, who I think regulars know I've become a little bit of a fan, the big-hitting Argentine. He really is fast out of the block, Steve. This is not a guy to trust over 4 rounds. This carries a slight wealth warning, but he's a huge price of 90 to 1. Now, Tosti will go at every single flag here, and it'll either come off or it won't. He has led on the PGA Tour after round 1. He has a host of top 5s this year. He has not many times stayed the course over 4 rounds, but if he's in the top 4 or 5 tomorrow and we cash, we couldn't care less what happens to him on Friday. Sorry about that, Alejandro. If you learn how to play 4 rounds, we might trust you with a different bet. But I do think 90 to 1 here for a guy who will go for broke. You've got to think of these as tournaments within a tournament, haven't you? And not worry about the guy who's just trying to project himself into contention. You've got to get one of those who goes screaming out of the blocks. And these are the two that I've gone for. But Alejandro Tosti, we're asking him to do what he's proven he can already do, and that's start like a house on fire. So let's hope he really, each way
as well. So if he's in the top 5 on the leaderboard on the Seaside course, that is a really nice return, even at a quarter of the odds. Sorry, this is a quarter of the odds.
Yeah,
so that would be a very juicy winner, even if he gets in the top 5 on that Seaside course. He might even be outside of the top 10 overall. But if he's on the Seaside course, you know, that's all that matters for this particular one.
We might find the top 5 on Plantation,
Yeah. What about the Plantation course then? Who's your pick here? This is the easier course, isn't it?
This is the easier course with more par 5s. Now, that leads itself to a power player, even though I've been saying this week's about strategy. And another guy, you know, an early bird who catches the worm is South African Garrick Higo. This guy is extremely inconsistent. But when he is on his game, he can produce very low rounds. And animals come from all around to find out what his price is. Well, I can tell you, it's 66 to 1. And again, he's a par 5 machine. Do I think he's going to be there Sunday afternoon, possibly watching it on TV in the clubhouse when it gets to the business end. But I do think, again, he's the sort of guy who can go low. A tournament within a tournament. And again, we've got 66-1 here. Garrick Higo. We've got 90-1 Alejandro Tosti. We've got two big darts of people that have proven they can go very low in round one. And this is a sort of course, Steve, where somebody will get 61-62 on Thursday.
Garrick Higo is a left-hander, isn't he?
Yes.
I remember I think I had an outright winner on him about maybe 5 years ago, maybe Texas, somewhere like that he won. This is at 66-1, isn't it? To be leading up the Plantation course. Again, on the each way, 1 to 5 places, quarter of the odds. And it's only on that Plantation course that you need. That's his name. I put it on the screen. Tosti for the Seaside course and Higo for the Plantation course. This is first round leader with Bet Rivers. And just say, shout out to them for offering this separate markets on the separate courses, which I think was really fair play. Some more interesting data coming through here from behind the scenes. Joe Highsmith at 66-1 in red hot form. There could be someone to consider there in the top 20s in his last 5 starts.
Good player.
Stephen Frisk as well, 300-1 with Bet Rivers. A great tournament for players looking for their first tour win. That is something you said before about the makeup of this tournament. It's not a bad spot for these first-time winners. So there you go. These are some numbers from behind the scenes. And yeah, anyone on Isaac yesterday, unbelievable. Was a shockingly bad beat. Missed a penalty, had a goal disallowed. Whereas Gyökeres rocked him and scored, 4 goals, I think it was, for Sweden. Crazy bad beat. Couldn't believe that one. Which golfer was called El Gato? Dan Roebuck. Dan Roebuck. I don't know.
The South American guy. Oh, now then. He won.
Yeah.
He won well into his 50s, didn't he?
I wouldn't have a clue. I don't think.
Yeah.
But there's one for you to think about.
Eduardo Romero. Oh, there it is. That's it.
Eduardo Romero. There you go.
El Gato, yeah. He won in Cran-sur-Sierre. He had a great record there up in the mountains in Switzerland.
Now, interesting with golf, right, is you've got to be patient sometimes with your money, but you can get some really, really big price winners. Just some data that I put out, one of our producers, Troy, behind the scenes today to get really digging deep with some data with golf this year. And largest margin of payout on event winners. Robert McIntyre, Scottish Open, 40-1. Aaron Rai in the Wyndham Championship, the same price, 40-1. Hideki Matsuyama to win the Genesis Invitational, he was 70-1. Which I find that staggering. I don't know whether that was pre-tournament odds as well, by the way. Nick Dunlap in the Barracuda. That's a point, Stableford's point, isn't it? That one, 40-1. And Davis Thompson, we've just talked about, and he was 25-1 to win the John Deere Classic. Just an example of some of the biggest margins of payout on the golf winners this year. You can really get some big price winners. And what I'm going to ask you now, Simon, is some players to watch. Players to watch in 2025. Now, these aren't necessarily guys that might even win an event or win a major or win a big event or whatever. Or it might be a case. I don't even know the names of these players yet, so you're going to surprise me. But I'm asking you, on the PGA Tour especially, who can we keep an eye out for? Who could we kind of back? Maybe on each way terms or like top 10s, top 20s. Players to make an impact this year, whether it's like a breakthrough year or a rebound year or whatever. List them away.
Well, the only way to make money at golf betting is to get people at prices that are, people that are better than either the bookmakers or the majority of punters think they are. Now, next year, early on the PGA Tour, 10 people have qualified through their positions on the DP World Tour. 10 people. Now, we do know traditionally DP European Tour players can struggle with their first year, second year, find their feet. Some never make it. And some just slip back and end up back on the European Tour. However, there's 2 people out of next year's intake that I think are ones to watch and may surprise early. And the chief reason being they hit the ball very, very far. And we know more than ever on the PGA Tour that is the number one thing. Week in, week out, distance off the tee. So the first one is Jesper Svensson. Now, he's currently 96th in the world. He has qualified with some really, really strong. He won in Singapore. But the key thing here is We saw it in Dubai. We saw it recently in Abu Dhabi. We saw it at Wentworth. Week in, week out, he's finishing in the top 5 in driving distance. And I think that makes him very, very dangerous. He's got a decent rest of his game. He wouldn't be so highly regarded. But the key thing about him is he will not be frightened of some of these big courses next year. In fact, he'll relish them. And we know so many of the courses, the rough's cut down in America far more than it is in Europe. And we get the players like who are further down getting to hit wedges and things into greens. And I think he is going to surprise a few people. Now, he isn't well known, and I suspect that Bet Rivers, other American bookmakers, are going to be offering slightly bigger prices than they should early doors. So what we need him to do is connect in one of his first 5 events. So I would say follow him until he either wins or places. Then the bookmakers will catch up and shorten him. So he's one to go in early. Now, there's a player slightly better known than him that's qualified as well. Oh, I think he's probably not going to be quite as big a price, but will be good value. And that's Niklas Norgard. Now, I watched this guy play at Wentworth, and I could not get up, Steve, how far. He's not a big guy. He hit the ball past Rory McIlroy, past him. He's also very, very good from 125 yards in. He isn't the greatest putter in the world, but he's got bigger sponsors. He'll get better short game coaches. He'll go into hiding this winter and prepare for his first year on the PGA Tour. Niklas Norgard. He's the 3rd longest driver on the DP World Tour. So he's going to be around top 10 in distance next year on the PGA Tour. Great with those wedges. He's got the game to be a major force. And again, we're looking to catch them early. So I would be supporting him in the first 3, 4, 5 events. And let's catch a win out of one of these two at 50, 66 to 1, bag some profit, and then everybody will catch up as to how good they are. So this is the thing with a new player. You've got to catch them cold. And I think the vast majority of people who bet on golf in America will have very limited knowledge and no real interest in getting behind these too early. But we'll be ready for them.
Jesper Svensson and Niklas Norgard. These are just the sort of people we're looking for in this list, to be fair, Simon. So
yeah, we've got to have an angle at a big price.
Yeah. So you got 3 others to watch on your list. Who are you going to be taking a close eye on as well?
I like the chances of Tony Finau to make a major comeback.
This is a player I really like.
Yeah, he's not gone away, but let's be honest. The last 2-3 years, we've got used to seeing Finau on the last afternoon of the majors contending. We've got used. He was called the great man who couldn't get the job done with the 10 seconds and all. Then he got over that. I think he's got 4 or 5 wins on a PGA Tour. He's got places in Masters, Open, US Open, whatever. Now, he's had some big legal and personal problems this year, which I read he's hoping to conclude and resolve over the next couple of months. So if that does happen, I believe next year he'll rededicate himself. He still isn't playing bad, Steve, but he's not at the dizzying heights that he was. But if somebody's going to bounce back from top 30, 35 in the world, around that, to being back in the top 10, I think it could be the big man. I think it could be Big T. I expect a big year from him this year.
That's a good sort of pick as well. Someone who can rebound from sort of that level. Yeah. Two more to watch. Tiger on this list.
Well, I know you went in heavy on him for one of the majors last year, Steve. I remember you messaging me. I was on the golf course and you said, "Is it a good sign when a player is helped onto the tee on a practice day?" I said, "I've never known it be, but I could be wrong this year." So no, not the Tiger. We have got an English guy who's based in America and really's carved a career there. His name is Harry Hall. His name is Harry Hall, and he is number 99 in the world. Now, this guy, he wears the sort of Bryson DeChambeau Puma hat, which I've been known to sport myself at an occasional Bet Rivers night out, but that's for another episode. And he is coached now by Claude and Butch Harmon. So, I mean, he's with the top people. And this guy, he was a very, very... want to be rude, but lowly ranked guy when he was over here. But he's really carved a career out there. And I think he's got 5 top 15s in, say, his last 10 events. And I think he's the sort of guy now. He's with the top team you can be with. He hits it a long way. He's got a very, very good wedge game. He's getting more and more confident. I watched an interview with him a few weeks ago where he talked about the fear of being on the PGA Tour when he made it, and how he felt like a lot of people that he wasn't worthy to be teeing it up with Brooks Koepka and the likes and whatever. But now, with the Harmons behind him, I think that this guy's going to bag himself a PGA Tour win in the first 3 months next year. I'll make that claim. And 99 in the world. I'm going to predict that when we are here this time next year, that Mr. Hall will be in the top 50 in the world.
Harry Hall, the 4th there to watch. And your final player to watch for 2025.
My final player to watch is the player who's on the other side of the paper. So a little bit of nerves there when he disappeared. Then I remembered I wrote him on the other side, so I hope I wasn't too long waiting there. It's a man I believe one day could lead the American team in the Ryder Cup. That's what I think this guy is. It's Chris Kirk, Captain Kirk himself, 44th in the world. Now, this guy is a brilliant driver of the golf ball. He won an event last year and he had a purple patch where he won, was second, and I think was third the next week. Gone off the boil a bit. Now, here's my angle here. The great Keith Elliott, the doyen of sports betting, talked about we saw the nappy factor. You know that one. I know where Channers has mentioned it on the dojo, where the player has the baby. Well, the guy who won the event this year, his wife had given birth on the Monday. He missed all them cuts and he ended up winning. So that was a nappy factor. But this is another thing. Chris Kirk is 39. He's going to be 40 next year. Keith Elliott said when people have these milestone birthdays, they reevaluate and they rededicate. Now, recently, Kirk gave an interview where he talked about he still feels he's got 1 or 2 big years on the PGA Tour. This guy is capable of sensational golf. And I think he will win 1, possibly 2 events again next year. Hit his 40th milestone and have that little last hurrah, that Indian summer. So it's Captain Kirk himself is my final player to watch. And wouldn't it be great if he did lead the Ryder Cup team on the just for that start in itself.
Great for the headlines, wouldn't it? But yeah, these milestones. Yeah. I mean, look at you. What are you, 59 on the 60 this year, Simon, or something like that? Really so you'll be looking at that. Yeah,
I just hope I live till the next Ryder Cup, Steve. That's all I'm asking.
Jesper Spencer, Nicholas Neugaard, Big Tony Fino, Harry Hall, and Chris Kirk. 5 players to watch for 2025. I like those.
Make a list.
I do like that breakdown. Yeah, do follow those. Across the 2025 golf world. And of course, we've got the majors to look forward to as well. And I can tell you now, by percentage of 2024 golf handle on Bet Rivers, the Masters had nearly 11% of the golf handle. Yeah. The US Open had 8.2%. The PGA Championship, 6%. The same with the Open Championship. By far, the 4 biggest wagered events of the year are the majors. The Genesis Invitational was actually the 5th most wagered.
That's interesting
for those who are interested. But yeah, so we're going to talk quickly before we finish about the majors here. And I think one player that I put him on the poll earlier there on the X regarding Rory McIlroy, because I don't know if you remember what you were doing in August 2014, Simon.
Yeah,
that was the last time that Rory McIlroy won a major, and he actually won 2 in a row that year. He won the British Open and he won the US PGA Championship. You'd have gotten incredibly huge odds that he wouldn't have won one in the next decade after. 39 events he's actually entered, not 1 win. So if you backed him straight on the money line in all those majors, you would be, well, you'd be in trouble, wouldn't you? Obviously, he has. I've got some stats about Rory McIlroy that I wrote down here. In those 39, 4 second places, 11 top 5s, and 21 top 10. So it's not like he's been out of the picture. But he would have been favourite in a lot of those majors. And, he would have cost people a lot of money. It was an interesting stat that I got from our trader that the sportsbook retained nearly 40% of all money wagered on McIlroy in 2024. That's across all tournaments. I mean, he has won some tournaments, remember. But he is one of the most popular bet players before a major. And what interests me here, because we've got some graphics there on the Masters, PGA Championship, British Open, and of course the US Open. And Rory McIlroy is the second favourite in all majors with Bet Rivers. So, and this stood out to me because everyone knows about Scotty Scheffler. That's pretty obvious. But Rory McIlroy hasn't won, any of the last 39 majors he's entered. The big question I'm going to ask you right now, before we even talk about your predictions for all four, I'm going to ask you a prediction to win all four majors, by the way, before we finish the show. So get ready for that. Will Rory McIlroy win a major in 2025?
No.
No, is he simple?
I mean, more sure now I've seen Dangerous Dan Roebuck pipe up that he will at Quail Hollow.
I like him for Quail Hollow, right?
No,
he is
no chance.
This is the PGA Championship we're
Get
talking
with me,
about
Roebuck.
Right? The PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. He's a second favourite, plus 800. This is the one price I think is probably fair because he's won at this venue 4 times. And he loves this one. I mean, it feels almost that could be now or never for him, really. So I think there's a better chance of him winning a major in 2025, Simon. But tell us why he's not going to win one in general overall. Is it mental now for Rory?
Well, I'll give you 39 reasons. You've mentioned them. And ask yourself this as a gambler. At 8-1, 6-1, 7-1. Forget the people involved. Just think of this stat and think of the mathematics involved. 0.39. I offer you 7 or 8-1. What is your initial reaction to the value I'm offering you there? Forget McIlroy, forget golf. Just look at that as a value-based wager. Are you interested?
If you base it on just like 0.39 or whatever, then yeah, of course, plus 800 then doesn't look attractive. But
has he not been a fantastic golfer in every one of those 39 events?
Well, he's played. I just said there he's been in the top 10 for 21 of those. So he's played all right. He has obviously been one of them. No, he hasn't won them. No, but he has knocked on the door a lot of times, and
he has come into them being FedEx Cup champion on 4 occasions, Dubai World Cup, whatever the European Tour, DP World Tour call it, being their champion on 6 occasions in this period. So between that, he's got a decade of the best non-major thing you can do in golf. He's done that across them, 10 years, we'll call it every year, hasn't he, if you add them both up. And yet, he hasn't been able to convert. I'm asking you, Steve, is it getting harder for him to do it or easier?
What I'll say is this, Simon, right? Say he enjoys a good start to 2025, wins an event or two. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to win the Masters. That's a huge mental block for him. But just say he did. He would be teeing off at the PGA Championship probably 2-1 at most. Do you know what I mean? Even if he didn't win the Masters and had a strong, he could be teeing off 4-5-1 there at Quail Hollow. So I quite like Rory for Quail Hollow, but you're going to tell us who is going to win these majors now. Let's start with them.
I mean, the only 2 things I'd say about that is that Scotty Scheffler and every time Rory wins anything in Britain, we have the Sky Sports, we have some of the American commentators will say, and we all know when he's on his game, he's the number 1 player in the world. That is just statistically not true. The 2 best golfers in the world, whether we like it in Britain or not, are Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele. And I think they are significantly the 2 best golfers in the world. So at any event that you're saying Rory's got a great chance, he's got 2 big problems in the shape of the 2 people that are better at the game of golf than he is, because they're going to be there as well, teeing it up, trying as hard as they can to win that event. And that is a huge problem. And that is a problem he didn't have 5 years ago when he was entering these events as the clear number 1 in the world. And he still couldn't get it done. Now, he may prove me wrong.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's just go with the Masters then here. It is the most wagered golf event consistently throughout the year, so there's always a lot of interest here. Scotty Scheffler winning the Masters last year wasn't a great result for the sportsbook. He was the favourite. and he will be defending his green jacket in Augusta in April. And last time I saw Augusta, by the way, on some social media pictures, it was badly affected by one of the hurricanes, wasn't it? So let's hope they get the course in good shape for that. But Scotty Scheffler, unsurprisingly, is the short price favourite here for the Masters. I mean, just give us a name. Who do you think is going to win this green jacket? Is there any value at the minute?
Who's won the last 2 majors? Xander Schauffele. He's got the monkey off his back. He's opened the door over 10 times. He's now walked through it the last twice. The only question I ask people is he twice the chance of Scotty Scheffler to win next year's Masters? I say no. I say he's got slightly less chance. We've got to be on him at 10s.
Yeah, I mean, with Xander Schauffele, he's obviously won 2 of the last 3 majors. Why is he so big a price compared to, say, Rory, Scotty, even some others there? He does look like a genuine. Basically, my question is for those who might look at golf and think, hey, this guy must be really damn good. What's the trap here? Do you think he's here to stay and win more? Or is that his purple patch over and done with?
I think this year we'll see him and Scotty have a battle royale, be like a Tom Watson, Jack Nicklaus, be like a Faldo, Greg Norman. For the older people like me, Steve, I'll bring it up to date a little bit. But we, Brooks Koepka, DJ, I think these 2 will go at it. I think they'll spur each other on, the fact that they're friends as well. And recently, Scotty gave an interview where he said Xander will give him plenty to think about at Augusta. So it could be one of those duels in a Sunday afternoon that we all crave, couldn't it, where they go at it? Mm. Sorry, Rory fans, but I think he's going to be chasing for bronze medal at best.
Duncan Evans says McIlroy is the Arsenal of golf. Big name always up there, but doesn't win anything.
I agree with that. Yeah.
That's incredible. Right, so on to this event at Quail Hollow then. It's the second major of the year. And I guess the unusual thing about it is we're playing at a venue which is used year in, year out. So the players are much more used to it. Pretty sure Justin Thomas won the last time they had the PGA Championship here at Quail Hollow. I do like Rory for it, but if he can't win it, who is going to lift the Wanamaker Trophy in May?
Well, the argument about Xander being double Scotty, you can carry that over if you want, but I've gone for somebody who I think will shorten. And it's now those of you with long memories who remember, of course, the Ryder Cup. One name stood out for me: the mighty Max Homa, the Pirate King, has won 2 of the last 4 Quail Hollow events at 40-1. Now he's a little bit good player gone bad because he's been in bad form, but I am sure that Max Homa, who usually has a very, very good California swing, will do the business in at least one event on that, and he will shorten significantly. So grab that 40s now, Max Homa. He does not have 4 times the chance of Rory McIlroy. And Dan Roebuck, I'm afraid you'll have done your dough yet again on the Irishman.
So, Max Homa, 40-1 for the US PGA Championship. Onto the US Open then in June. Bryson DeChambeau, the defending champion, and this was another bad result for the sportsbook last year. Quite a significant percentage of the golf handle for 2024 was on Bryson. He was a popular winner out there in the States and around the world, really. And this is the shortest he is in the betting for any major, Bryson DeChambeau, 14-1, because it's quite a Pacific major, isn't it? Known for long hitters. The usual suspects at the top of the betting here. Oakmont is the venue. I can't even remember the last player who won here. Was it DJ? Maybe. But
yeah,
it's quite
Tiger
an open
Woods 3 here. Jack Nicklaus made a comment, cream rises to the top at Oakmont. So again, you can find the top 2. The reason I gave the Xander in the Masters was to ask people to ask themselves that question about, is he twice the chance? And I say no. So of course those guys write themselves. But there's a player here. I mean, we had Matt Fitzpatrick win for Great Britain a couple of years ago, and I think Robert McIntyre, a guy who's graduated to the PGA Tour, found his feet, a tough competitor, which is what you need over 4 rounds of US Open golf. I think he could be certainly right up there. I was very surprised to see him as big as 80-1 with Bet Rivers. So I can see him starting well, winning again on the PGA Tour and being half those odds. So if you're going to play these markets now, you've got to look for people who you think could shorten significantly. Now, the top 3-4 in the market, they're going to win their events as they always do. Are they going to shorten significantly? I'd be surprised, but I do think a win would get Robert McIntyre shortened, and I would go for him now at 80-1. I think the course will suit. He's a tenacious battler. I think he could have a good US Open.
Tony Finau has a good record at Quail Hollow, says Nigel. If you think he's going to start the season well, what about 60-1 there for Big Tony in the PGA Championship?
I wouldn't rule that out. I just think Mad Max, as the Pirate King himself, has got a slightly better Quail Hollow record. I think he's a sort of player with improvement in him. But I do think Big T's going to be on the comeback. So, yeah, I'd be rather interested in those two at those prices than going low on that one.
The Open Championship is the last major of the year now. It's in Northern Ireland at Royal Portrush. A bit of an unusual golf course. It's only the second time that it's had it in recent years. Shane Lowry famously won it last time and actually held on to the
80-1.
That's why he's on the betting there at 25-1, because this is a very unique golf course. I mean, you talked about Bob McIntyre there. I reckon Bob McIntyre will be one of those strongly backed in this event as well, because, I mean, let's be honest, the British Open is often about the weather, even more so in Northern Ireland. Does that make it more of a lottery, or can you narrow down the field? Because certain players, I mean, Bryson DeChambeau there at 20-1, pretty sure he's said many times on interview he can't do links golf yet.
He's going to want to go on Friday.
Can you narrow down the field more in an event like this?
I think so, and I'll tell you how I've approached this. Shane Lowry's not going to be 80-1. You can only grab them once. Rory McIlroy will be backed off the boards. He will be bet. And he said last time it was here, he felt under tremendous pressure. He only just made the cut. And Lowry went on to win. But they're lurking in 16th place. The last time it was there was Ryan Fox. Now, Ryan Fox has now gone on to win Wentworth, our top event on the European Tour, with some of the best golf anyone's ever seen. He's qualified on the PGA Tour. He's really found his feet there. Very, very small in stature, a bit like a Shane Lowry, squat guy, brilliant in the wind, New Zealander. He's available at 66-1. Proven course form. Now, in the last few years, Steve, he has become a significantly better player than the player who was able to be 16th. And I think he's the type who could come under the radar and be top 5 quite easily. Again, he's now a regular on the PGA Tour, but he'll turn up far more confident. He's already got Wentworth in his back pocket, our #1 event on the whole tour. He's proven at the track. He played really well last time, and I think he could be that under-the-radar guy. And again, were he to go in on the PGA Tour, he does play some DP World Tour events as well early on next season. He's the type that's going to go off 25-28. So they'd be the ones I'd be looking to get with now who might shorten.
I must say, of all the majors for 2025, this one does look like the one where you could probably get a bigger price winner on.
Yeah, it
not an unknown name or anything, but a bigger price winner because
because
those at the top of the market will struggle if the wind gets.
And also, if you go in short now on Scotty and he gets there on Thursday morning and the weather, as it can, decides to blow a 35-mile-an-hour wind stop at 1 o'clock as he's finishing, it's not a major to be playing heavy anti-post on short prices. It really isn't.
Duncan Evans says Tommy Fleetwood's got to win a major soon. Do you give Tommy a chance in any of the 4 this year? Can he be up there and compete in one of them?
I think it's a mini version of the Rory thing. I think mentally it's becoming tougher and tougher. And I think losing the Open last year when Brian Harman beat him has had a terrible mental effect on him. He played well again in the PGA, didn't he? But the US Open is always the one. But again, I put it to you that the market has found Fleetwood in these majors. We've got to look for players that are bigger prices that it hasn't found. A lot of people have slammed into him for the last 5 years, and he's played well. But at the Open, he had his chance, Steve. The door was open, and Brian Harman walked through it, and he didn't.
Yeah, that was his opportunity. Just quickly before we go, the Ryder Cup is expected to be one of the top 10 most wagered golf events for 2025.
Definitely.
Not quite as much as a major because of, there's less markets to go. Currently, we're Bet Rivers, Ryder Cup 2025, USA -137, Europe +138. The tie is 12-1. Where would your money be right now if you had a $300 bet?
Incredibly boring, but Americans win it in America, Europe win it in Europe. Bye-bye. Thank you. When can I collect? Sunday night.
Minus 137 on the USA.
That is a great
Is that your
price.
banker of the year? Is that your banker of the year?
It is, yeah. I've just come back from the Caribbean, and if thanks to Donald Trump, but if they go in, if the Yanks go in, I'll be heading back there next autumn. So
well,
yeah, that's the lock of the year for me.
The lock of the year for USA to win the Ryder Cup. Well, thanks very much, Simon, for your thoughts on various golf things. Just a reminder for the event this week, the RSM Classic in Georgia. There, not Georgia, sorry, Sea Island.
Sea Island.
The two picks you've got Luke List at 100 to 1, and who was the other one again? I've forgotten. I've written it down wrongly. 33 to 1 shot. I need to put it back on the actual list, but do remind us. Austin Eckroat. 33 to 1. There we go. I've got it again. And you also have a first round leader on both courses, so do check back for those. But yes,
what
thanks very much.
Just put there, Steve?
Jamaica.
No, it was her idea that we went. I'm here all week. One-way ticket. Well, yes. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Yeah. And he'll put the money up.
Paul Aguda, returning to the UK soon. Happy travels, my friend. But yeah, take care, everyone. Good luck, whatever you're betting on. Tomorrow, I can exclusively reveal the return of a much-loved character here on Because We Win. RJ is going to be back on the channel, on the live show. We're going to be looking into Thursday night football, also some of his NFL plays for the weekend. So we've got a massive show to look forward to tomorrow. And then the weekend of soccer is upon us. But yeah, thanks everyone who joined. We're not even talking about Sean Dyche and Everton on this show. It's a banned subject. Until next time, see you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.